You have your head so far up your ass that you could see Russia.
Johnny, the World Economic Forum is back on again. Yeah, they're all there, Johnny. Klaus is there. Klaus is bloody hosting, and what a congenial host Klaus is.
The theme for this year's meeting of the Great and Good at the World Economic Forum in Davos is trust and trusteeship. Do you trust them?
Nah.
And the massive carbon footprint event with 3,000 attendees from 125 countries, including 350 heads of state, government politicians, ministers and hangers-on, are congregating to put together plans to tell the rest of us how to reduce our carbon footprint.
That's a scientific fact.
Now, at this bloody forum, they talk about all these new things that they can bring into fruition and all that sort of shit. And one of them that was talked about, and they get on their high horse about it all the time, is the incoming bloody influx, so-called influx of electric vehicles. Yeah, right. Yeah, now we've been on this bloody thing, Johnny, and just branching off a little bit, it's worth noting that the bloody infrastructure and all that sort of stuff for electric vehicles is nothing what people would envisage. Yeah, an obvious problem. Yeah, it's 2024, Johnny. Oh, Johnny, it could be a night, Johnny. Oh, it sounds like a This bloke here, he's done a bloody thorough study of New York. Even though it's really big, it's still bloody typical of cities around the world.
Believe it or not, New York is one of the most impractical places to own an electric vehicle, for several reasons, most of which aren't changing anytime soon. What you're looking at here is the first reason why EVs aren't really taking off here in New York. So let's say this is your car and this is the parking spot you found for it and it's an EV. How do you charge it? Seriously, how do you do it? Where's the plug? Car and Driver recommends everybody install a level 2 charger at their house, but if that's your car and that's your house, how exactly are you going to do that? There's no garage, there's no parking. It's impossible to live in an apartment like this and own an EV and charge it. You'd need a house with a garage.
Yeah, right. I mean, that's the same here, Johnny. Everywhere you go in Melbourne, you see these huge, big bloody complexes being built, and you say, what's that? And people will say, oh, that's accommodation. Now, do all these people, do they have parking spots? It sounds like a bloody nightmare. Are they all going to have bloody, is there going to be a charger downstairs? And if you have a charger downstairs in these parking lots above these units, you can't just have one charger. There's fucking 50 cars there. They're all going to want to charge at night. So you're saying that you're going to have about 30, at least 30 of these bloody chargers.
That is true.
Ideally, one at every bloody car park. I mean, that's not even set up. So all these people that are driving around, they can't have an electric car.
Buildings, including the one I live in that has parking spaces, of which I use one, don't have any EV infrastructure. Plus, it's up to the landlord to put that stuff in. And even if you own a condo in a building like this, you can't just install stuff. You need the neighbor's permission and the condo board's permission, and somebody's got to pay for it. There's a lot of red tape.
Oh, I don't think anyone's bloody setting up for it.
Range anxiety is real with any battery-powered device, no matter how big or small. And it's the number one reason that stops people from buying an EV all over the country. But it turns out people still don't like the idea that the thing they're driving in might not get them to their destination. So for a lot of people, there just simply isn't enough support for owning an EV. There's gas stations on every corner, but finding places to charge it, it makes people nervous.
That is true.
This is one of the few places in New York where you can charge your EV on the street. That's what these cars are doing. They got these big plugs charging them up. And look at that. This vehicle's been charging for 75 hours. Look at that. Of the 6 total charging stations that are here, there is only one that is available for use. Long time to charge. There's just not enough chargers. And New York City's pretty pro-climate. You'd figure that they would be rolling these things out. It's a pretty good design. Doesn't take up that much space. You could get these on sidewalks, no problem. But look at this. There's one up here and one down here in Manhattan. Just a handful of them in the city in total.
I mean, you're going to drive out to these bloody places. There's an electric charger around the corner and over the hill over there. I'll nick over there and see if I can get my car charged. Yeah, right, yeah. Even though my car is running low, you're going to go over there and there's fucking 13 cars waiting in line for 2 chargers. And those 2 chargers, the people have pissed off and they'll come back after they've done their fucking shopping or whenever they catch a bus back to their charger, unless they're going to stand there with their arms folded for 45 minutes. As if everyone's going to just stand there for 50 minutes.
The street, they're looking at doing a lot of curbside charging, but it is an enormous infrastructure build out that they are talking about doing.
So there's basically no public infrastructure like this to charge up your F-150 Lightning. And that means most people who own EVs, if it's not the government, they're people that have access regularly to some sort of private charger like this one on the other side of this fence. But it's up to your landlord or your company to install these.
There's one charger there, but that's now because there's only one bloody electric vehicle in that fucking car park. Wait till bloody 90% of the bloody cars in that car park are all electrical. They're going to have to put in another bloody 30 fucking chargers. I mean, what sort of power is that going to draw? Oh, it sounds like a bloody nightmare.
Let's say you got an EV. What are you supposed to do? Drive all the way out here and hope that nobody else nabs the one remaining charging spot? That doesn't make any sense. We're going to need more of these, but...
Nah, people won't do it. I wouldn't bloody do it. Well, what, are you going to stand in a bloody queue for hours? Charging your car when you get home from work or what?
Or the parking garage you park at during the week. Car and Driver says that access to charging while the car is parked is the number one reason people won't buy. And you can see how that's a pretty big issue, especially here in New York. And these things are not exactly economical to operate. They use a ton of power all the time. They're expensive to install. And look at all these wires and things.
So those cars are just sitting there for hours. Is there any security or anything? I mean, people bloody...
I'm going to talk about a problem which nobody really seems to be talking about.
Again, Johnny, I reckon there's young gangs in there would come along and rip the whole fucking thing out. Just for fun.
These are going to need regular maintenance, because if they're not working properly, what was the point of putting them in the first place? But since building out street-side charging networks like this one is going to take a long time, it doesn't really look like New Yorkers are going to be able to buy an EV anytime soon and have a reliable way to charge it unless they already have access to a charger.
Holy moly! So, Johnny, we were talking the other day about people eventually not owning cars, recommended by the World Economic Forum. Is this part of the bloody plan? Well, Johnny, I'm bloody coming to the conclusion that they don't want everybody out there to have no car. They just want the bloody main population of dumb bastards like you and I to not have a car.